Chapter 16, Bay's Question. The morning sun slipped through half-drawn blinds, painting golden stripes across the living room floor. The faint scent of cereal and spilled milk lingered in the air. Bay sat cross-legged on the rug, a mess of curls framing her face as she carefully arranged her dolls in a line. Josh was in the kitchen, fussing with a coffee pot that had given up on life years ago. He hummed under his breath, lines from the track he and Micah had worked on last night rolling unformed off his lips. Micah, still in her hoodie from the night before, sat on the couch. A notebook rested in her lap, half filled with scribbled study notes for a sociology midterm she wasn't sure she was ready for. Bay's small voice broke the morning calm. "Micah?" Micah looked up. "Yeah, sweet pea." The little girl didn't look away from her dolls. She adjusted one carefully, then turned those wide, curious eyes toward Micah. "Are you always going to be around?" The question landed heavier than the words themselves. Josh froze mid-pour. Coffee sloshed onto the counter, forgotten as his head snapped up. His chest tightened because he had asked himself the same question more times than he could count. Micah blinked. Her throat felt dry. "What do you mean, Bay?" The girl shrugged like it was the simplest thing in the world. "Like, Daddy's here every day. Grandma's here sometimes. But you. I like it when you come. You help me with my braids, and you read the books with all the voices. Will you always do that?" Micah's heart squeezed. She looked at Josh, who was standing in the doorway now, glasses sliding down his nose, face unreadable. This wasn't his question to answer. It was hers. She set the notebook aside and slid onto the floor beside Bay, lowering herself to the little girl's level. The dolls between them looked suddenly symbolic, lined up like soldiers in a world where promises mattered. "I can't promise I'll be here every single second," Micah said gently. "But I can promise I want to be. I care about you a lot, Bay. You and your daddy both." Bay tilted her head. "So, like, forever?" The room went still. Micah felt the weight of those eyes, innocent but sharp, capable of asking the questions grown-ups tried to avoid. Forever wasn't a word she had expected to answer at 22. Forever wasn't something her friends talked about when they swapped stories of hookups and weekend flings. Forever was marriage. Children. Roots. And here it was, spilling from the mouth of a child who deserved nothing less. "Yes," Micah said finally, the words small but steady. "I want to be here forever." Bay grinned, satisfied, and went back to arranging her dolls as the world had just been solved. But Josh. Josh's eyes glistened in a way Micah had never seen before. Later, when Bay was in her room, Josh leaned against the balcony railing, city noise floating up from the streets below. Micah joined him, tucking her hands into her sleeves. "She's too smart for her age," Josh murmured, staring out over the skyline. "Asking questions I didn't even know how to handle." Micah smiled faintly. "She just wants to know where she stands." Josh turned toward her, serious now. "And do you know where you stand?" Micah met his gaze. She thought of her family's doubts, her friends' whispers, the textbooks in her backpack fighting for her attention, and the future she hadn't mapped out yet. But then she thought of Bay's curls, Josh's music, the late nights in the studio, the warmth that filled spaces she didn't even realize were empty. "I know enough," she said quietly. "Enough to choose this. To choose you. To choose her." Josh's chest tightened again, but this time it was with something like relief. He reached for her hand, fingers curling around hers. "That's a big choice." "I know. Forever's a long time, Micah." Her smile widened, shaky but sure. "So let's make it worth it." The next day, Micah sat in the campus library, her textbook open but unread. Bay's question echoed in her mind. She couldn't focus on Marxist theories when her own life felt like a test she hadn't studied for. Her roommate, Tasha, slid into the seat across from her. "Girl, you look like you're about to drop out." Micah laughed softly. Just thinking. About Josh? And Bay. Tasha raised an eyebrow. Micah, you're 22. You're barely managing your own schedule, and now you're out here stepping into mom territory? You sure about that? Micah bristled, but the sting wasn't in Tasha's words, it was in the truth beneath them. Was she sure? She closed her book and leaned back. No. I'm not sure about everything. But I'm sure about them. And maybe that's enough right now. Tasha studied her for a long moment, then sighed. You're stronger than me. I'd run the second a kid got involved. Maybe that's the difference, Micah said softly. I don't want to run. That night, Josh tucked Bay into bed. She clutched her favorite doll, the one Micah had fixed with tape when its arm broke. Daddy, Bay murmured sleepily, I like Micah. Josh kissed her forehead. Me too, baby girl. Me too. As he turned off the light, he felt the weight of her words, of her innocent trust. It wasn't just his heart Micah held now, it was Bay's too. And somehow, that made him want to fight harder than ever to keep both safe.